Hello, and welcome back to Journey to You, a podcast where we discuss all things self-development. And today's episode is about external validation and how to switch from seeking your validation externally to internally. So I want to start this episode with a question for you. What is it that you most commonly ask other people for their opinions on and about you? Or your decisions, your looks, your choices. It could be that you always send selfies before posting them on Instagram to your friend group chat. The reason I ask this is because once you know your answer, you know what your limiting belief is. If you know that you are beautiful and stunning and great, you are not going to feel the need to go ask your friends if they think a selfie is okay to post on Instagram. If you are self-assured and you see a selfie and you know you want to post it on Instagram, you'll post it on Instagram and you won't obsess over the likes or the comments because you know that it was a good picture and you wanted to have that in your memories on your Instagram page. So it could be that, or it could be a bunch of other things. We'll go into more examples shortly, but I want you to keep that in your mind during this episode because that will give you what you need to work on and the limiting belief that is holding you back. So let's talk about external validation. If you don't know what that is, it's basically looking outside of yourself for reassurance or confirmation of something to do with you. So it could be that you send the selfies. It could be that you share really personal details of things going on in your life to your co-workers because you just want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. It could be a bunch of things. And usually this comes from either people pleasing or insecurity. And both of those things are really detrimental to your physical and to your mental health. This can look like you actually physically asking people their opinions and what they think about the situation you're in, or it could be assuming. It could be that you send a picture and someone reads it and doesn't reply and you assume it's not good enough. Whereas maybe they are just busy and you are making assumptions, which is not healthy to do. And it can be really gross and icky and look like the pick-me girl who is fishing for compliments, and that is really annoying. If you find yourself doing that, it's ugly. It's not good. And I'm not saying that to shame you. A lot of people do it. I've done it before, okay? I think a lot of people, especially girls, have done that before because you just want that validation and you don't want to go ask. So you might just be like, oh no, this is a horrible picture. And wait for them to respond, say, no, it's not. Whereas really on the other end of that, people see that you're insecure. And if you send someone a picture, and we're just using this as the example, it could be a million different things, as I said. If you approach the situation with confidence and you post a selfie on Instagram and you're like, and you love it and people will see that, you look confident, you look great, that's what you will attract. And if you post a selfie on Instagram, and make the, oh, do you remember back in the day, people always used to say, felt cute, might delete later. I hated that. It became a joke by the end of it. But people used to do that really seriously. They'd put up a picture and say, I'm just going to wait for enough comments. And if I don't get enough comments, then I'm going to delete it. That is not good. You should be confident enough to post the picture and not worry about what other people think. You need to validate yourself because no matter how many people like that picture, you are going to notice who doesn't. No matter how many people tell you that you are worthy of success or that you should do this or that you should do this and you are worthy of that, you are just going to look for the people who haven't said that and want to just create, a Patreon of 1,000 signatures to make sure. You are pausing your dreams, especially if it's career-based, you are pausing your dreams waiting for something that will never come. If you're waiting For 1 million people to come up to you and say, you are amazing and you are worth it, that's not going to happen. You need to be able to hold enough value of yourself in your heart worth 1 million people. And once you build that up, it won't matter if you get 100 likes on your Instagram post or 1 or 1,000 or 100,000. It won't matter because you like the picture. And like I said, I'm not trying to shame you or make you feel bad if you do that. I've done that. I still sometimes do that. Sometimes if I have an argument with my partner and I know that I was in the wrong, I will try to call my sister and say, oh, this is what happened, and this is what I said, this is what he said, hoping that she's going to say, you were right, he's wrong. Whereas I know if I'm going to her asking for her opinion, it's most likely because I know that I'm wrong and I need that external validation that it's actually that he's wrong. And because I'm actually wrong, she will tell me that. And that's why it's important to have people in your life who are honest and who you trust and who will not just tell you what you want to hear. You need to have people in your life who sometimes will snap you out of it. And also on that, if you don't make people feel like they can be honest with you, they're not going to be. If you seek external validation really regularly and someone tells you, oh, actually, no, I don't particularly love that selfie, and you get defensive and you make them feel bad, then they're going to lie to you and you will never know the truth on whatever it is you're asking. If I went to my sister and she said, oh, actually, Jaden, I think you did the wrong thing here and maybe you shouldn't have done X, Y, and Z. And I said, well, F you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know the situation, blah, 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 blah. She'll go, okay, well, I've made that mistake once. I'm not going to put myself in the firing line to Jaden anymore. I'm just going to tell her what she wants to hear. And then I now have created a relationship with distrust, and it is a downward spiral. Asking for opinions and then getting opinions you don't like. And because you seek that external validation, if it's something you don't like, you lash out at that person, you're going to ruin your relationships. And that's what I mean. Like, it's so much bigger than just you. It's bigger than just, oh no, you should probably have some self-confidence because like it can get a bit annoying. No, it's so much more than that. If you are self-assured and you go to your sister and say, this is what happened, you will know if she says, no, you have done the right thing there, you will trust her. And if she says, no, I don't think you have, you will trust her. And it shouldn't matter because you need to trust yourself. But in those cases where sometimes an external person like is needed, which in an argument with your partner, that's never the case. And I'm not saying that, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Moving on. Internal validation is the exact opposite of external validation. It's when you look inwards for your self-assurance and your guidance and validation, and you back yourself. It's when you argue with your partner and you know you've done the wrong thing and you go and apologize. It's when you get in an argument with someone, you know you've said the right thing and you back yourself on that. It's when you know within yourself your capabilities, your worthiness, and your strength and weaknesses. And it's really important to be self-aware, to be confident and self-assured and have internal validation. I guarantee you that your voice is worth being heard. I guarantee you that your light shines bright and that you have something to offer the world that no one else does. And if you keep dimming your light to try to match other people's or to try to get other people to like you or for someone else to tell you to turn it up to full brightness, that is not good. That is so bad. And internal validation allows you to turn your brightness up and let what needs to come, and let what needs to go, go. And all this stuff about wanting other people's opinions and other people to tell you that you're great, other people to tell you this, other people to tell you that, it's all the ego. What other people think doesn't matter. And don't get me wrong, it's very important to have mentors and people to look up to and people to go to for advice if you are trying to work towards a specific goal. And those are people who will lift you up and help you. And definitely listen to those people. I'm not saying don't listen to anyone ever again. I'm saying if you are waiting for Jimmy the electrician to tell you that you should start a YouTube channel, and you're not listening to the hundreds and probably hundreds of thousands of videos on YouTube telling you to, because it's a great way to have creative freedom, blah, 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 and that's your dream, why are you waiting for Jimmy's opinion? He doesn't know anything about YouTube. He doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, why are you waiting for your crush to like your Instagram post for you to know that it's a good one? That is not good. That's, it's simplified, but that's really bad. Don't do that. I'm going to go into examples of how to stop doing that, because to some people, internal validation can come really naturally. And I guarantee you there are some things that you are really certain of in your life that you don't need the external validation for. Maybe you know that you have neat handwriting. So if someone comes up to you and says, your handwriting is really messy, you're not going to bat an eye. You're going to go, well, no, it's not. I've got neat handwriting. And it's like what was it? It was on TikTok, and someone said, if you have brown hair and someone comes up to you and insults your blue hair, you're not going to cop it. You're not going to take that on board because you know that you've brown hair. And that's the thing. If you know that you are worthy and that you are beautiful and that you are great, if someone comes up to you and tells you you're not, that's not going to mean anything. And the same will happen when you are able to let go of the ego. You will stop getting that dopamine boost when people come up to you and tell you how great you are. Because you will know and you'll go, okay, thank you so much. That's really kind. And maybe compliment them back because that's the polite thing to do. I love your shoes. You know what I mean? But don't put so much weight on other people's opinions. And this may need to be rewired in your brain. And there are ways to do it. Don't get scared that it's impossible. It's definitely not. I've done it. I used to always look externally for validation. And one of the first shifts that I made was pausing after something happened. And instead of calling my sister or my mum or someone else, one of my friends, before calling them, I would pause it for 10 to 15 minutes and I would speak to myself as my best friend. Say I got rejected. Instead of calling my best friend and saying, oh, I've just been rejected, I would sit down with myself and say, oh, I've just been rejected. And I'd say to myself, well, that sucks. What happened? And then have a conversation with myself, go, you know what? That's okay. So I'd sit down and I'd soothe myself and I'd talk to myself as my best friend, because that's what self-validation is, isn't it? It's when you know that you are your best friend, you love yourself, and you're the person that you're born with, you're the person you die with, you're the person who gets you where you need to go, and you need to be able to rely on yourself like a best friend and talk to yourself like that. A lot of the time, we get rejected and we tell ourselves that we are stupid and we are awful and we're not worth it and all this stuff, when that's not the case. And we need to stop talking to ourselves like our worst enemy and start talking to ourselves like our best friend. And yes, this is something that needs to be practiced. So, homework, if you know this is something you need to work on, start talking to yourself like your best friend, either in a journal or sitting in front of a mirror and talking, or just sitting in a room closing your eyes and doing it. And do that for 5 to 10 minutes a day for a week. And I guarantee you, you will start to see a change. You will start to see growth, and you will start to have a happier life because you don't have someone in your head telling you that you're horrible. The next thing we briefly touched on earlier is self-awareness. And becoming self-aware is confronting sometimes because you may need to do a bit of an audit of your life, your relationships, where you are currently, all the things that matter to you. You might need to just see where you are and take responsibility for that. If you don't like where you are, stop blaming other people. If you are somewhere where you don't want to be, take some responsibility and change that. You are the only person who can. You are the only person who can change you. And with that, you can't change anyone else. No matter how much you try, that is going to lead to bad things if you keep trying. If you're putting so much energy into trying to change someone, that is wasted energy. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. Say you don't like your dad and you live with your dad and he's really stuck in his ways. He doesn't approve of your life choices and you are determined to get him to change his mind. And that is causing you to be in a really unhealthy environment because you're living with someone who you feel like you always need to be switched on and argumentative with and, forcing him to drink. If he was a horse, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. You can't force him to do that. You cannot. You need to take responsibility for how you feel. Your dad doesn't approve of your life choices. That sucks. That's an awful situation to be in. And I'm sorry if that is something that you're going through. How are you going to change that? Are you going to take a few deep breaths and maybe go to therapy and learn how to just agree to disagree with him and not let his opinion of your life impact you, but still be able to live in the same house as him? Or do you need to do something a bit more, I don't know, dramatic's the wrong word, something a bit more big and move out and change your environment that way? Instead of just saying, my dad causes me to have a horrible life because he doesn't agree with my life choices and so every day is so stressful, rah, rah, rah. Pause. What are you going to do about it? And that is what self-awareness is. It's when you are aware of your behavior and your actions and your capabilities, and you can use that to make life choices. Sometimes if you start being self-aware, you drown and realize, oh my gosh, I've been living in a victim mentality for the last 5 years and I am so ashamed of myself and rah, 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 rah. And you're not talking to yourself like your best friend, like we said earlier that you need to do. That is okay. Forgive yourself and move forward. If you are resenting yourself because you are not where you want to be, okay. That's okay. Talk to yourself like your best friend. Okay, well, you're only realizing this now. You were doing the best with what you could during that time, and now that's changed, and we can change it, and we can get through it, and we can do better. And we will do better. And, start doing that. So show yourself some self-compassion while still being self-aware. And when you are self-aware, you'll start to realize that you are worthy of living the life that you want to live. And you're no longer going to want to go to Jimmy from, I forget where we said he was from. He was like a plumber or something. You no longer want to go to Jimmy asking him what he thinks because Jimmy's on his own journey. Jimmy might not know anything about where you want to go or where you've come from. You're the only person who knows you as well as you do. Why does it matter what he thinks about your life choices? He's not the one who's going to have to live with the consequences of them. The next thing is affirmations. And these are so powerful. I always have affirmations all over the room. I've started writing little ones on the bathroom mirror that I read whenever I notice it, and I change it each week, because if you put up a little post-it note that says I am worthy of love and you just have it on the one spot, after about a week your brain will start to ignore it. Because think about it, like when you walk into a room, you don't notice every single thing and take note of it once you see it, because you would be so overwhelmed all the time. You'd be on the verge of a panic attack every room that you walked into. Your brain starts to just blur things out that are just regular. So move this sticky note around, every week. Set an alarm on your phone with the affirmation of the thing that you're trying to achieve, and be really particular with what you choose. If you have an answer now to the question I asked at the start of the episode, write the opposite of that, so that the limiting belief that you're not beautiful, for example, write down I am beautiful, and be really intentional. If you know that you're beautiful, but you don't think you're worthy of success, write down I am worthy of success. Choose one really intentionally for you and for your needs and for what you need to work on and what you need to be able to validate yourself for, and use that as your affirmation. And change it up sometimes as well. And even if you think that you're not worthy of success, you can look up success affirmations on Pinterest, and there'd be 100, there'd be thousands. And you can choose from those whatever resonates, and you can maybe switch them up throughout the different weeks. And I did this recently with freedom. I felt like I was not free. And I know that sounds so silly, but it's something that was something I had to work on. And so I wrote on the mirror in my bathroom, I have the freedom to create whatever brings me happiness in my life. And isn't that the best freedom? That is a lot of freedom. I do have a lot of freedom. And that was something that I believed. And it took about a week, maybe a week and a half, of me reading that each day and going, oh my God, and listing those freedoms and realizing that that's a massive freedom, that now I don't have that anymore. If someone asks me, do you feel like you have a lot of freedom? I go, oh yeah, I have heaps. I have so much freedom. And that's just an example. That's why you need to use one that resonates with you and what you need to work on. Affirmations are so powerful. Your brain believes what you tell it. And if you are telling yourself every day that you don't have freedom, that's what your brain is going to start telling you. Whereas if you tell yourself every day that you have heaps of freedom, that's what your brain is going to start telling you. And it's creating these new habits, these new thinking patterns. If you start talking to yourself like a best friend and you do that every day, that's going to soon become more natural. And imagine how much better life would be if that was the case. If it was your brain's automatic function to tell you the things you are worthy of and the things you are capable of, instead of what you aren't, based on fear. And fear is false evidence appearing real. Remember that. Alrighty guys, that is all the tips I have for you today for this episode. I really appreciate your time listening to this, watching this. At the moment, I don't use Instagram. I have taken it off my phone for a few months, just as a little detox, just a little experiment to see what's going to happen. But you can still follow me on there. And when I come back, I'll see that you followed me and appreciate it. Or let me know. Tell me. I'll also put my email below, so feel free to reach out to me there. And yeah, if you have anything to add and you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to comment below your thoughts or anything that helps you on your journey to becoming more self-assured. I really hope that the tools in this podcast episode have helped you and do help you rewire your brain and start becoming more secure and stop a lot of these negative people-pleasing behaviors. I really think they have the power to do it because I've done it, and it's always a work in progress. There's always things to work on, and as long as you are self-aware, you will be able to work on those. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's about self-development. There's always going to be something to work on. There's always going to be something to work towards. And that's really exciting because you are just becoming better and better and better and better each day when you live with intention. And that is all I have. I really appreciate you listening and hope that you have a great rest of the day. Please share this podcast episode with anyone that you think it could help. And if you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe and like the video. And if you're listening to this on a podcast app, please remember to rate the podcast and follow along for more episodes like this. Thanks again. Talk to you later. Bye.